Yes, yes. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. So I'm sorry for that. I was wondering where you guys are, but unfortunately the issue was on my side. I was in the meeting introduction to tech tracks, which is supposed to take place tomorrow. So I think I confused the links. Also I was wondering where are the people, but you guys are here. So welcome and sorry for any inconvenience caused in that regard. So today, mostly what we are going to be doing is just doing an introduction to web development and the environment setup. And then on Wednesday is when we'll now begin HTML. And also, we're gonna have to rush a bit. That's why we are going to be using the Odin project as the platform of choice for the learning. This will make it easier for you guys in your free time to continue on this side without any interruptions. So I hope you can hear me. Can you just type in the chat if you can hear me? Let me just, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So that is the current plan. Yeah. So I think the odinproject.com, this is the site. Either if you just search the Odin project, the first link you get, that is it. So in this, you come and say view full curriculum. It offers JavaScript and Ruby on Rails, but our focus is going to be JavaScript. So no issues there. You can see you have full stack Ruby on Rails and full stack JavaScript. So basically on our part, we'll go from JavaScript up to here. We won't be doing Express. That should be for next semester so that we finish up with the full stack part. But yes, so once you are here in you have foundation, so you have to begin with foundation. And this course has been is very well structured. And you see, like there's something that even a lot of people will miss. Something as simple as Git and command line basics, right? All these things, they're not directly related to web development, but they're things that you as a developer will need, right? So I think for now, let's just start from this from the beginning. We'll just be going through the content at a relatively fast pace, but if you have any questions, feel free to. I don't know if can you raise your hand here? Yes, you can. You can raise your hand. So yes, feel free to raise your hand, and then we'll answer the question before proceeding. So, introduction to the Odin Project. The Odin Project is an open source community dedicated to providing the best information sources to take you from zero to a full stack developer. In terms of that, this one you can come and read on your own if you want to know more about the Odin Project. Also, it will be better if you can sign up because it should allow you to save your progress, right? So, with that, you can be able to save your progress and also interact with the projects that so once you're given a project, you uh, take part in that project, then you'll be able to share your solution as well as view other people's solutions. So introduction to web development, this is where we come in, right? So I'm not sure if I skipped, let me just confirm how this course will work. I think this was the first one, right? Yes, 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 yes. This was the first one. So yes, introduction to web development. So the job that you're trying to specialize in, web development, what web developers do, they build and maintain websites. So basically, that's the aim of this. By the end of this, you should be able to build and to maintain websites. Then we'll start with having clients who want a product or service on the web. If you're or otherwise, you can also get hired and the company will just assign you what to do specifically. And in terms of types of web developers, we have the front end, which is what we are going to be beginning with. That is just creating this interface that we are using right now. And this shouldn't, yeah, we're going to require HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And there also will be frameworks alongside. And then there's also the backend, where now, if you need to store any user details in the server, then that is where you're going to store. Or maybe if your site is not static, maybe you have some data that changes, then you're gonna store the data in the server, and then it will be fetched by the front end. And now we have full stack. By the end, by next semester now is when we'll do backend, so that we can become full stack. Types of careers. We've specialized in web, so we'll be web developers. Tools of trade. Of course, you need a computer, be a friend of Google, text editor. I think back in the days, tools of trade was AI was not included, right? So I think it will fall under Google. Command line interface, Stack Overflow also replaced by AI, Git and GitHub. So I think we will be introduced to that later on. And motivation. So I think why choose web development, right? Why choose web development? And I say web development has to be one of the most interesting, maybe not very interesting, but I would say it's one of the most crucial technologies that you can learn. Because you look at any business that can exist, right? Look at any business. It needs to have a front, a way in which people can reach them, right? So be it your favorite clothing from Louis Vuitton, your favorite car brand from Mercedes, they need to have a website. Because the moment someone tells me, okay, which shoe are you wearing? This shoe is called Hermes. I don't know what Hermes is. I have to go and Google it. So be it in fact, any idea and any business that operates, they do need websites. And that makes web development a very crucial technology in the current market as of now. So be it, yes, some ideas you can build apps for them, some ideas, but ultimately they will still need a website. Because if you have a company, the company needs a website, right? If you're going to create your tech startup, you will need a website for it. Your project might be you're creating a solution that uses IoT, but your company will need a website, right? For people to learn about it and for people to reach out in terms of opportunities. So while it can be a bit difficult, I know I've experienced that firsthand. When you get the skill, it serves you. It serves you. And one of the advantages of web development is you don't really need. I mean, right now, even without any employment, even without any client, you can work on your projects. You don't need any capital. Can you imagine if you're doing machine learning and AI, you want to work on a model, and your machine, of course, cannot handle creating LLMs and running them, so, and training. So you see, like, web development has some advantages over some tech tracks that you can also choose. So you don't really need a lot of money to start with. You can develop for free, you can host for free. So for the most part, most of the things that you do is going to be free. And why did I choose the Odin project? So as I said, for you to learn efficiently, you need someone who has done it to guide you well, right? So right now, if I want to learn driving, if I just go and buy a car and I try to teach myself everything, yes, if you come and see me a year later, yes, I will have learned most things on how to drive a car. But instead of doing all that, if I just focus on, if I get someone who already knows how to drive, right? I don't have to try a combinations of, let me try and put gear without without clutch. Let me put gear while I'm accelerating. I don't have to try all combinations to know what will happen. So I can just have someone tell me, okay, so you can do this and this and this to be able to do that. So similarly, in this web development, you go to something like W3 Schools, right? You open that platform. At the top, you see HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, C, C++. You're seeing all those things, and there's no structure. You can do whatever you want, but now the problem becomes for someone who is a beginner. You're going to someone who doesn't have any experience before that, and you're telling them, okay, now I want you to use this platform. And yes, maybe you did tell them start with HTML, CSS, and JS, but if you've used W3 Schools, like which I have personally, it's not the content itself. Let's say if you do choose like HTML, yes, the content is structured correctly, but also there are very small they do have that try it yourself, right? So there are some very nice explanations, but the problem is lack of that structured content, and that is where this platform comes in, because you can see W3 Schools doesn't teach you Git and GitHub, right? But it's something that is a must in the current day, right? You can't host without a GitHub, right? So it is very important, and that's the main reason why I've chosen this platform. It's because it contains everything that you need to know to be a skilled web developer. So I think we are done with that, and let's proceed. So in terms of motivation and mindset, so in terms of motivation and mindset, this is okay. This is okay. You don't really. I think we we've already discussed this. It's in terms of other tech tracks, in terms of as a profession, it's a marketable profession, and it's something that will, even without employment, it will help you in your own projects. So in terms of that, we are good. Now, in terms of foundations asking for help, now in this scenario, I think there is something that we should cover here. Now, there's usually a problem when it comes to asking questions, right? Now, you as a beginner, let's say you were told to build this website, right? And you wanted to create this navbar at the top. Now, and then you are trying to have this one stay on this side and the other one to stay on the other end. And you tried in whichever way you knew, right? But then you got stuck, right? You got stuck. And so you want to seek help. Instead of being like this, one is on top of the other, right? So you will find someone approaching someone else and asking, by the way, I'm trying, by the way, why is Flex not doing how it's supposed to be? Because Flex is supposed to put things side by side. But on my part, it's not doing that. You see, the first question, if someone was asking me that, the first question I'll ask myself is, I know there's no issue with Flex, right? So I'll ask you then, can you show me the code so that I see what you're doing, right? Can you show me the code so that I see what you're doing? Because I know there must be a problem with what you are, because I know Flex it should work how it's supposed to work. Now, this point comes in terms of when you want to ask for a problem, you need to indicate the problem that you are facing and how you went about solving the problem, instead of trying to ask a solution for the bug that you encountered, right? So you are trying to create this, and then you encountered a bug, and you're trying to tell someone, can you help me with this bug? And someone is trying to help you with that bug. The solution you are trying to achieve, you're not getting to that solution yet. And simply that is because, according to your knowledge, the solution that you wanted to try was wrong to begin with. So you are ending up in a loop where you're trying to solve something, you are solving the bugs, and the entire solution is wrong, right? So in terms of asking help, you need to I don't think it's covered on this part yet, but I think if you follow this platform, uh, later on it's going to highlight that, right? So I think let me confirm. Ask about the problem at hand, not the solution itself. Okay, yeah. In this part, it's basically talking about, you can't come and tell me like, uh, I'm trying to create a TikTok. Can you help me? I'll be like, okay, it's good that you said you're trying to create a TikTok, but what have you done, right? You need to also tell someone what you've done, because it's all like as if you want them to do the entire solution for you. So you can see in this scenario that instead of saying, how do I complete the step 5 for rock paper scissors, instead you say, I'm trying to return a string, but this, and this, and this is not happening, right? So you give someone the context and you say what you've done, because you can't expect, you're seeking help and you want someone to do the entire thing for you. Then let's go to this. Yes, then this is about the Odin community. So this is good if you want to go and join that. Then you can be able to discuss with people. But luckily for us, we already have a community. So in case you run into any error, since all of us are going to be following this platform, then you can ask for help in the platform, in the WhatsApp group, and you should be able to receive help. And also you can organize with a friend to ensure that everybody, is putting their work, is putting in their work. So now the computer basics, right? I think at this point, I don't think, yeah, I think at this point, I don't think any of us doesn't know what a computer is. Uh, okay, I think this is, oh, you're given an assignment to do that. What's a computer? Basically, you're already on a computer when you're in this meeting. What's an operating system? I think we know that. An application, we know that we use them on a daily basis. Now, open versus closed source software. I think this one may not be known to everyone. So when you create a solution, right? I think most of you have used VLC, right? VLC. VLC is an example of an open source software, right? It's developed for free. You don't buy it, and the source code that was used to create the program is open source. Anybody can download it and have it on their machine and modify it. If maybe you want your VLC to be having a default volume of 125 and not 100, any modifications that you may want to do, you are allowed to do it in open source. Closed source, an example is Apple. You can't go and access the source code for iOS or macOS. So that's an example of closed source. In terms of taking screenshots, I think if most of us are on Windows, you have Windows Shift S. If you press the key Windows Shift and S, you should be able to take screenshot on Windows. In terms of Linux, then you're told that you can go to your system and search for or set your own keyboard shortcuts for doing that. Passwords, I think in this part, it is optional, opinionated, sorry. It is opinionated, right? A strong password, of course, it should include a capital, a small letter, and a special character. That should be enough to suffice as a strong password. Now, how does the web work, right? So describing what the internet is, what are packets, and how they are used to transfer data, understand the difference between a web page, a web server, web browser, and a search engine, explain what a client is, explain what a server is, what IP addresses are, and what DNS servers are. So you can see all these things, they are not directly related. You look at most platforms, right? You look at most platforms, you go to W3 schools, you're not going to get the answer to these questions, right? And they are not really, this is not really related to web development, but having an understanding of these things will help you be a better web developer, right? So that's why you can see there are some resources. For the sake of time, since we have 1 hour, we're not going to be going through all these external resources, but this will be pinned on the group so that you can always access it and go through this and learn more, right? So knowing how to answer those, you have all these resources. And then, is this a link? Okay, it's a link. Yeah, that is a link. Yeah, so you have all these links. So in terms of knowing what those things are, which browser are you using? I think this one is, we all know. Installation overview. Now, we are not, okay, there are some people on Linux. So if you are on Linux, you will have to follow the Linux installation. But actually, this is just in terms of OS installation. Let's see. As for me right now, I'm running this on virtual machine. So I think you guys can see that I'm running VMware Workstation for Windows 10 on that. The reason why I'm running this is I already have my set configurations. I think if you can see down here, I've pinned my VS Code. This is what I use for my development, but you can also see that on my Windows 10, I don't have anything installed. The reason for that is that so that I can be able to take you through the installation process. So we have that now. Installing a new OS, we don't need that, but if you do, you know where to find that. And then now, that is okay as well. Text editors. So now, as a web developer, you are developing websites, and when developing websites, you're writing code. For the code, you're writing it in a file. Now, you can use whatever you may use in terms of writing the code, right? Early back in the days, people used to use the terminal only, and then now we have some graphical editors. So this is a text editor. This is Notepad that's available on Windows. This is an example. You can write your any code here, Python, and then just to go back to the terminal and compile it. But the problem is it will be very tedious. That's why you need code editors, right? So in terms of instead of just having it as plain like this, nothing is highlighted here. In a text editor, you get more powerful features, be it in terms of helping you compile or helping you highlight the code as you're writing, or highlight mistakes that you make while you're coding. So code editors are going to come to help a lot in terms of reducing the work that you have to do. Now, you need to download and install a copy of VS Code. So for that, you just need to search for VS Code on your browser and take the download link. Now, VS Code usually has I think, let me go back here and show you something. If you click on this link, right, you're gonna be taken here. And if you click on this one, let me see if I can open these two different so that you can see the difference. In this is one link that if you click, you're gonna download VS Code. Actually, let me just click it, right? Let me just click it. So this is it. You can see VS Code user setup. This one calls itself user setup. But you see in this link, you can see you're having two options. You have user installer, and system installer. What I like to install is the system installer. right? Okay, I know most of us, you're the only one using a laptop, so it's not like, you're not share, you don't have multiple accounts on that laptop, so you don't really need a system installer. But basically, the only difference is user installer will install per user, and system installer will install on the entire machine. So I usually like to install the system installer, even though I also have one profile. So there's no harm done in having either, but I usually just prefer this one. Now, let's see, we have, yes, so you can see the difference. Let me put this side by side. This one is called VS Code Setup. This is VS Code User Setup, right? So I think both of them should have finished downloading. This one finished, and this is about to finish. So let's wait for that to finish. Yes, so if you are on Linux, you can come and just click this toggle to get the instructions. If you are on macOS, you can do that. Now, the Odin Project highly recommends using Linux as the development platform, but you don't necessarily need that. So there are some things that you'll see later along the way they're going to have. Now, during installation, also another thing you need to take note is this part, right? This was unchecked. Now, when you reach this part, be sure to check the create a desktop icon and this Windows Explorer directory. The reason why we need that option is when you come here and you create a folder, right? You've created a folder for your project. Once you right click, you can be able to see here open with VS Code. So that will be useful for opening your I don't usually add this file because I mostly don't open a single file with VS Code, right? I open an entire folder because it's for a project. So let's while that installs, let's see if we have anything else. I think we are done with that. Let's go ahead as we wait for that to finish installing. So if you don't have VS Code installed, just search VS Code in your browser and follow the download link. So VS Code, use that link and go and download the system installer, then run the installation. Now, this is the reason why they usually recommend. And it's great to know some basic terminal commands when you want to use, but you can also just use Windows, which is what I'm currently using, as you can see. So these commands, you don't really need to know them as of now. If you have Ubuntu, then yes, go through them. Although I think you already know most of the commands if you are already using Linux. But yes, in terms of all these commands, if you are using Linux, then you must know them. But if you don't, you're good to go. Unless you are to try and install WSL, you also have WSL. Use this and you go to, okay, so if you press Windows and X, you will get this. If you come here, you can use this, right? Also Windows R and Control. We want to open the Control panel, or you can just search for Control. Now, under programs and features, actually, not that. What do we want? What do we want? Where is these programs and features? Do we go here first? Yeah. I'm looking for, where is this? Turn Windows features. Yes, this option. Turn Windows features on and off. So if you come here and you look at this, you'll be able to find something like virtual machine platform, this one, and Windows subsystem for Linux. So the two of those will allow you to have a Linux terminal on your Windows without having to dual boot. But now it's a bit complicated, and you should only do it if you really need the Linux platform. So yeah, now we get to Git, right? Let's see if the installation is done. The installation is done. So launch VS Code. Yes, I think let's just get done with that for now. have that as full screen. Now, this is the VS Code, right? So use the AI with Copilot for free. Okay, use the AI features. What's wrong with that? Okay, you need to sign in. Skip for now. Skip for now. Let's not. I don't want to start signing in right now. So let's focus on this. So yeah, in this one you can choose to open a folder, but let's focus on extensions first. So there are some extensions that you will need. I think some of them may appear here under popular, but let me also bring this list over here. Let me put this list over here. Yes, so you look at this, you have this live server. This allows you to, when you create an HTML file, this will allow you to open it with the browser. And when you make a change to HTML, right? So as this can show, when you make a change to the HTML, it will automatically reload for you. Otherwise, if you don't have this, once you make a change, if this is your file and you change this to from server to home, you will have to go to the browser and hit the refresh button for that change to be reflected, right? So you need this. So just install that, trust publisher, and install. Let's see, you need GitHub Copilot. That should help you a bit. Prettier code editor, code formatter, sorry. Yes, you also need this, trust publisher, and install. Let's see if there's anything else. No, I think that is it for now. So we've installed live server, GitHub Copilot. I think let me put that down. Yes, live server, GitHub Copilot, and Prettier. So if you bring this list up, live server has been installed. We've not installed Git Graph yet. We'll do that. Auto rename tag also. We'll go through this, and I'll also attach it with the video later for anyone who will need to access it. And I'll also send it in the group if anyone will need it. You can just request it there. So while that is installing, let's continue with this. So what is Git, right? So Git is a very popular version control system, and you'll become familiar with it. So don't worry about understanding it at this point in time, right? So I think they do have some explanations later. So let me not explain it when we redo it later. I think we can just do the installation. So we are on Windows, and you won't get that option because they recommended you install a Windows subsystem for Linux. Now, in terms of us, we don't really need to do that. We are also on Windows, so there's no issue now. Git is also one complicated. Sometimes, yeah, we have this. We need the latest 64-bit version of Git for Windows. Yes, let's download that. So let's see, 60 MB. Oh, it's not small. It's not small. Yes. While that is downloading, now in terms of Linux, you do have some things to do. There are several things to do, but for us on Windows, once you download, the installation is straightforward. You just open the application and follow the steps. Now, setting up Git. We'll get to this step in a bit. Let's see if this has finished downloading. It's done. Let's open it. Yes. Next and next. Additional icons. Yes, I do prefer. If you unless if you don't like having your desktop clean, some applications I just like to also have them on the desktop. And I think that is it. So just click on next. Next. There's nothing wrong with Vim or Visual Studio Code. Let's go with that. Yeah, because you've installed VS Code. Now, in this part, that git use currently master. No. You need to override that with main. So this is also another option you need to make sure to have it. There's nothing wrong with having it set as master by default, but it's just become the current industry practice to use main as the default branch. So let's go with the next. Now, I think I'm not sure if it's my machine, or is it Git that is having these issues? But I think it's Git because the rest are okay. So Git from command line and also that party software, that is okay. Git from Git bash only, no. I think that is okay. Let's leave it as is. Use bundled. That is also no issues with that, no issues with that, no issues with that. So for those, just continue and let it finish installing. So let's, before we proceed with this part, we need Git to finish installing. Now, also we will need, I think, let me try and create an email real quick for the purposes of this, because we'll need to also be doing be pushing to GitHub, and I'll need to be using that for demonstrations. Or actually, let me just use my let me see. Let me see what I have here. Right. So I think while Git is installing, I'm going to create another email on my side that we're going to use so that we can create a GitHub account, right? Actually, I think I forgot. I think I should be having an let me see. Accounts. Let's see if I can add my account here. Okay, so I think should I really sign in? Okay, continue. Okay, skip that and skip that. So I think Git has finished installing. Don't view the release notes. That's okay for now. Yes, so I think we wanted to have that. Let's see now what we have here. GitHub. Yeah. So let's create our GitHub account. Sign up. Continue with Google. That should make it easier. Continue. Okay, so I think I already have an account. So just log in on that. Hope there are no cybersecurity guys over here, right? I don't wake up to some sad notifications. So I think I had used this a bit, but yeah, so after creating your account, let's come back here and we need to set some configuration. So still Windows X, hold Windows, press X, and we should get this. I'll choose Windows PowerShell. Wow. Okay, now let's run some of these commands. Git config, let's copy up here. I don't know if it's me or something is not happening. Okay, I think it's easier to just type git config. I think it's supposed to be Let me see. Git config. Okay. Okay. Global user.name. Let's have this as Kimaru. And I'll just reuse this and set email. The one that I just created the email for. Okay, so you're going to set this and this. So the reason why you have to set these two is that when you're going to be writing code later, your these details are going to be added to that code, right? So that when someone else goes to your GitHub and views, or if two people are working on one project, if you go to GitHub and hover over that on that on a specific piece of code, you should be able to see who wrote that code, right? So that's why you need to provide these details so that they can be used to label the author of that work. So there's no need to config this to main because we already have that. And with that, okay, now this is also another thing that you will need to do when you create a project, right? Or I don't know if we should do this now or later. Let's see. Let's have this in desktop. Let's create a folder. Let's call it web. In this web, let's call it intro. Let's have that first. Yeah. So this is our folder, and now I just wanted to give an example. Yes, I trust the authors of that folder. Let's come back here. So normally, if I go and if I am to try, if I don't, when you're trying to when you create a repository and you want to, you've cloned it, you've worked on a project, and now you want to push, right? GitHub will try to verify your identity first, right? So it's going to request your password and your email for you to be able to push. So to avoid that, you can come here and go to things. So you create a key that you're going to use for that purpose, right? So if you come here, you can see I went to settings, right? I mean settings, you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you find developer settings. You click on that, you have this, and you have personal access tokens. And you click on this one, you see you have tokens classic. So you choose that option, and then you want to generate a new token, and you want to generate a new token classic for general use, right? So normally, if you, let's say you go to a hackathon and you want to create a key that you're going to use for that specific hackathon, yes, you can come here and call this datathon, and you are able to, you set it maybe 7 days, 1 month. But personally, since I usually just want to have only one that I'm using on all my projects locally. So you'll find I have here, I'll just call it a token or main. I can just call it main since it's the main token. And then I will set it as no expiration. You'll be told that it strongly recommends you set an expiration. But now you could say, but this will mean after every 90 days, your code will not work, your token will not work, and then you'll have to come and regenerate it again. So I usually just like to set it as no expiration. And then in terms of permissions, I usually just give it most of, if not, I usually just put all permissions. Although you don't, I think for the most part, what you'll be using most is just the repo to be able to modify that. But this is optional. This is optional. But personally, I just usually have it. I usually just give it all the permission so that I don't try to do something in future. You know, you might be following a YouTube tutorial and someone tells you, so we are going to use GitHub. We are going to do some automations, and your token doesn't have the relevant permissions. So it's generated and you're told you won't be able to see it again. So you copy that. Personally, what I do is I just send it to my own email to ensure that I don't lose it. Okay, yes. So compose the email. Yes. So I'll send it to myself. I'll just call it GitHub token. GitHub token. Paste that in here. Also, something else I try to have is, okay, I think I'll show this later. I'll show this later. No need to rush that right now. So there are some optimizations here. So I've sent that. So it's now kept well. I don't need to worry about that, and I can go back to profile. We come back here. So we have our token key. Then introduction to Git. Okay. So now why do we know, why do we need, and why do we use Git, right? So you look at, let's take this example. So for us to understand Git, we need to understand the problem that it came to solve, right? You're working on a project. So you've just started development and you're working on it, and then you're trying to add a feature. Let's say you are building an e-commerce platform. You've worked on it and the e-commerce platform works. And then the client comes and tells you, okay, so I wanted you to add logistics so that people can track packages. And you come and you've started adding it and you encounter a bug, right? You've encountered a bug and you've tried fixing it. 2 days later, you see that you are unable to solve it, right? How are you going to be able to get back to the original code that you had, right? You want to discard the code that you had added, and supposing you are, of course, since you are integrating it, you've modified a lot of files, so you can't really keep track of which file did I modify and all that. So Git came to solve that problem, in that as you're working on a project, if you encounter a bug and you want to roll back to the previous working solution, you can be able to roll back, right? Also, another thing is collaboration. I think some of you have used Figma, and even for those who have not, if two people are working on a project, how and one person modifies a file and another person also modifies the same file, how is it going? How are you going to resolve that issue when both of you are trying to deploy that to your server, right? So in the old traditional sense, the person who sent the change, the last person, that change will override the other ones, right? So if you had, it's similar to, like, you have your machine, you have your code there, right? So you modified, let's say, the readme .txt file, and I also modified it. If I come and I save it there and I say replace what is there, right? Your work will be lost. So Git allows collaboration. When two people are working together, you're able to work seamlessly, uh, and be able to resolve such issues that may occur with styles. Because in terms of Git, if one person modified something and another person comes and wants to add a modification, and their modification, the file that they had before, does not have the latest changes, that file will be rejected. So that a person will have to go and see, I'm trying to add this, but someone came already after me and before me and added something else. So you have to make sure that the new change is going to include your change and their change, right? So that's basically what Git is going to do. And then you have GitHub, right, which you've just created an account for. So right now you're going to start by working on your machine, but sometimes your hard disk can fail, your machine can get stolen, and a lot of things can happen, right? Now the purpose of GitHub is to allow it is to host that code for you, right? So if you're working on a project, the moment you've completed a significant milestone, you push that change to GitHub so that whatever happens to your machine, you have that code backed up somewhere, right? So it's just for your code. You back up your photos, so in case you lose your phone, you have those photos, or maybe even you just want to delete the photos on your phone and just have them remain there, and you can view them from there. So the same way you use Google Photos or Google Drive, you can use GitHub for code, right? Okay. So far up to there, does anyone have any question? If you do, you can raise your hand. If you've understood what Git is and how it works. If there's something you've not understood, you can say. So I think we are good. I think we are all good. Okay. Yes. So it's like a really epic save button for your files and directories. So officially, it's a version control. Now, VS Code also has some very interesting features. If you see here, right, you have this thing called timeline. If you had a file that you've modified over several over a duration, let me see if I can bring up an actual project so that you guys can see. Okay, yeah. So this is an actual project, right? So if I open, maybe let's say this one, and I open the timeline. Actually, let me open a different project that I can showcase better. Some of the advantages of having editors over normal text editors is there are some features that have been added to help you when it comes to code, right? So like this file, you can see this is prisma.ts, right? Now you see it can show me how long ago you can see in this part I modified this one from that to that. This one I modified to that, right? All that is 5 days. This is 6 days ago. This is how it was, and this is what I did after that. So I changed this into this. So you can see this timeline, it helps you, right? The file was just created and all of it. You can see even VS Code has this timeline that helps you track. If you are working on a file, right? This one now it's not about having it's not about having even to use Git. You just have a file open, you change something, and then you save it. You can just come here, and every time you save it you have that change here. So you can come, and it makes it very easy for you to roll back in case you made a mistake and you saved, instead of you trying to say, what did I change, what was there before? No, you can just click there. And also, if as the previous is working, and then you broke it and you've worked on it, you tried fixing it for several days, you can just come here and go, okay, 2 days was the one that was working, then you just quickly restore it. So that is having a VS text editor. Now, so you've installed Git, and okay, so you have now the Git basics, right? So Git basics, so you need to know how to create a repository, how to get files to and from GitHub, and how to take snapshots of your code, basically what Git is supposed to do, right? So I think, let's see if in this, do they have something? So this is a Git cheat sheet. Okay, yes, this should be useful. And then basic syntax, best practices. So I think most of this has been used as external resources. So we'll go through that So you want to create a repo, you have this plus button, you click on that and you get repository. This is what you want to create, a new repository. So let's wait for that to load. Okay, so we're just going to call this intro. We are not going to give it any description. We are not going to add a readme. Just leave everything as is. Now, you have this button. You have this now. You have this. If you want to clone, this is the link that you want to copy. Now, as I told you earlier, there's something that I normally do to avoid having to enter my password, my email and password every time I'm trying to push some changes to GitHub or fetching any changes from GitHub. So we have, this is what we want to get this repo into our machine. So what we're gonna do is let's come here and we had a folder in desktop called web. Now we'll have to delete this folder. I think we had it open in VS Code, right? Yeah, because if we clone it, we are going to have two intros because we did call the other one intro as well. So let's delete that. I think we come here and we just say delete. Yeah. So right click and we have open git GUI here or open git bash here. So choose the open git bash here. So you get this. Now, the reason I want us to use this notepad is there are two things. Actually, I forgot to I forgot to save this. So normally there's this thing that I normally use. It's called Windows clipboard. Normally you can only copy paste what you only have one thing at a time, right? But now when you hold Windows and press V, so Windows plus V combination brings up this clipboard, and this allows you to, every time you copy, it is going to turn on clipboard history, so that every time you copy something, it's added to this clipboard and you can access it. This allows you not to have that issue of let me show you in this regard. I think I can open this one. So yes, I think let me dismiss that for now. So yeah. So we're going Windows and V combination, bring the clipboard history, turn that on, and you have that. Okay, you have that. So this is the first one that we just had. Let's come here. We need to copy this token that we saved here. Okay, so let's come back here. Okay, did we open another? I thought we had. Okay, so we have this and we have this. These are the two. This is the repo and this is the token that we generated, right? So what I normally want to have to do is you come and add here git clone with that, and then you copy this key and you want to put it here, right? Before GitHub. You paste that there and then you put art. So it's going to be token followed by art and then github.com. The reason why you do this when cloning the repository is this is going to automatically this will be saved in your repository and will allow you to push without being asked to input your username and password every single time you want to push your changes. So since this other part, I usually remove this part since I want to reuse this for all my projects. So I remove that part and then I copy this Windows V to get the clipboard. So Windows V to get the clipboard, and then I think, did I copy that? Windows V. Yes, this one. So with this, you click on this and you have this pin button, right? The pin option. So the reason why I pin that is, I don't know if I can, okay, this doesn't have several options, but the reason why I pin is so that even when I reboot my machine, right? even when I reboot my machine, I'm not going to lose that progress. So if I come here and I say clear all, it's going to clear everything, but this will always remain. If I reboot my machine, I'll always have this. So anytime I create a repo, I just come and use this. So you come here and I show you what I mean with that. So in here, I use Windows V and I put that. Now, anytime right now, I've just created a repo that is called what? It's called intro, right? Intro. So I come here and I just add intro at the end, right? Enter. It's going to clone into that, and then we need to go to file, open folder, select this one, because we deleted the other one, right? So you won't notice any change because the name is the same. But yes, we've cloned and it's an empty repository. Yes, we did not add anything. But let's now create a file. We'll call that readme.md. And in here, we're going to say this is my first GitHub file, or let me say this is my first file. This is my first file, right? And then we save. So you can see the timeline here. It's already saying this is saved and it's now. In future, when I do more modifications, first day of web dev, right? Let's add that change. You look at this timeline, you see now. So with this, it is going to show me, okay, so this is what I added. And then we come to this, and this is what it is right now, right? Yeah. So with that, let's now try to send this file to our GitHub. So if you press Windows and tilde, right? Tilde is the key on the left of number one. So on your keyboard, number one on its left, you have tilde. So if you hold Control and press that, you're going to bring up this terminal. You can also just come here and say new terminal, but you can see it also tells you if you want to create a new terminal, you can use Control Shift and that tilde, right? But in our scenario, you just want to bring up the terminal, not to create a new one. So yes, and then in here, we're just going to say git add and a dot. So this dot is used to say that I want to add all the files that have been modified. If you come here to source control, you're gonna see that we've modified one file, right? So this one, instead of me having to say git add readme.md, and then if I had multiple files listing each of them, I can just use that dot symbol. And if I do that, let's see, the term git is not recognized. Let me see if I can delete that, bring it up again, run git. Okay, now we do have a bit of problem here. So for us to get access to that git, okay, I think time is running by. So we're gonna have to just, let's install something known as Chocolati. Now, the reason why we install Chocolati, I think if you've used Linux, you have access to something like NPM. And if you haven't used Linux, as a developer, you may want to install, Java, Python, or some packages. So Chocolati is a tool that allows you to install from the terminal instead of going to download a package and doing a manual installation. So you just come here and copy this, and then you'll have to press Windows and X to get this, and then you choose Windows PowerShell Admin, choose yes, and okay, then you just paste that there and you hit enter. So this is going to install Chocolati on the machine. Now, the reason why I'm installing Chocolati, you can see we have Git installed, right? And let's see actually if we can normally access it via here. Let's see. And also let's also open terminal or command prompt. Let's have all this. Let's try here git. We see if git is recognized. You can see git is recognized in command prompt. But let me try and run Git here. So this, it's also recognized here. But in this VS Code of ours, sorry, in this VS Code of ours, it's not recognized. So let me delete this, close that VS Code. Okay, we'll have to go back home. Let's say Windows M to minimize everything and open this VS Code again. Let's see if that will help solve our issue of, because it's accessible via the terminals, but in here, we were having issues accessing it. So let's see if we can now access it. If we run Git, okay. We can minimize this copilot and run that. Okay, you can see it's now available. So just restart if you have such an issue. And we can now run our git add all, git commit this. Okay, so you can get this command if you come back here and we go to Odin. You can see you have here how to commands later to the workflow, right? We already run git clone, right? Now we will run this later, but for now we are here. You run git add and then you run git commit -m, right? Git commit -m, and then in here you can say my first commit message, right? Oh, I used a different ending. Okay. So with that, then we now come back. You can see now we've run this one. So we'll come back to this git push. Okay. So let's run git push. And you can see it has already been pushed successfully. You come here and we refresh this page. And this is it. So you've successfully, you now have GitHub account. You have created a new repository. You've cloned that repository in VS Code, and you've been able to push that change here, right? So if there's anything that was not clear, you can review this video. The link will be shared. You can review the video. And if there's anything that's not clear after that, or any question that you may have, we have the WhatsApp group, and you can be able to communicate more via that. If you mostly use Discord, we also have a Discord channel where you can also reach out. And I think we are done with Git and GitHub. So the next time we're going to pick up from this. So any questions? Are we all good? So you can, are there reactions here? There are reactions. I don't think there are reactions. So you can type in the chat if we are good. Or I assume that we are good. But yes, so I think that is it for today. I will send the links to the Odin project where you can just search it. In case anything is not clear, you can be able to reach out. That will be all for today. Thank you for coming. See you on Wednesday. So yes, you can all leave and the meeting will, let me stop the recording.